Hello and welcome to the Hot Fat Guy Club Dating Advice Podcast. I'm Dr. Ruth. No, I'm Alex Frankel, the CEO and founder of the Hot Fat Guy Club podcast, and I have my wonderful new friend Alex here. It is the Battle of the Alexes today. Alex, welcome. It's great to have you here. Welcome to the Hot Fat Guy Club, and thank you for your time and your vulnerability today.
It's great. It's great to be here. Been looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, Alex, what brings you to the Hot Fat Guy Club Dating Advice Podcast? Give us a little bit of your, talk to me. Why are you here?
I'm here because I just got out of a 4-year relationship that was also a marriage for 4 months, and I've been having a hard time accepting that I'm single again, I guess. Like, it's very hard to talk to other females as anything else beyond just a platonic friend, because I've been, remained faithful, and it's just awkward to talk to women again as like a dating, as a source of just like to date someone else,
Okay. All right. So let's start there and talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about your past relationship first. You were together for 4 years and then you were married for 4 months. How did you meet your ex?
I met her. So, we didn't initially, when we met, I met her when she was just like a coworker at a job I've long since quit and never want to return there. Only to find her about 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later, like 2 different relationships later, then we started dating.
Okay.
So it was after 2 other previous relationships. It was after 2 different relationships.
Why did the relationship end?
I think it just kind of happened right after we got married, apparently. That it just kind of crumpled in on itself.
Yeah.
That the moment we got married is the moment you kind of just lose big events that aren't having children and stuff like that.
Yep.
And it just kind of crumpled from there, and I was really depressed. I can very much admit I got really, really, really depressed after my wedding. And it really sucked to try and get back from that depression, because it was just like everything about the whole getting married and everything just kind of I crashed pretty hard.
Yeah.
I just ended up staying depressed for too long. And not helping was just a whole bunch of other events that happened in a row that all just kind of just kept punching me into the ground so hard that things just finally snapped. And, and then we left, and then we went our separate ways, and we divorced, and now I'm here.
Okay. So in your mind, what was it that triggered that depression after the wedding? And what were the potential catalysts leading up to it that then kind of tipped you over the edge there?
Stress. Just stress about everything. It was just a moment of like, I was stressed about the wedding because everything had to be stressful, and I was like, we had this beautiful wedding, and I was stressed about that wedding, and then wedding day stress happens, and then we're done, and then it just snowballed from that stress into what led into just like a good Christmas, and then it was just kind of a depression after that because of not being able to save up money, basically. Like I was just somehow cursed. We were just cursed to not be able to save money and shit, and it just kind of led into me becoming unresponsive, essentially. Besides to work.
So money stress, you would say, was the number one thing that was a catalyst in all of this.
I think so. So, or at least that was one of the big moments of just like, it just doesn't feel like we're saving money anymore and shit.
Yeah. And what about the relationship itself? What I'm gathering is that as a result of your depression, you kind of withdrew from the relationship. Am I surmising that correctly?
Yeah. I started withdrawing hard.
Okay. And talk to me about what that process was like and how that looks for you, and what, now posthumously that you're behind it. Like talk me through that.
Okay. So the relationship was we were two people that worked completely opposite shifts of the day. I'm an
Mm.
opening manager. I work 4 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll push me into like a 6 to 3, but it's 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. She works 11 to 7.
Yeah.
In order for me to continue working 4 to 1s, I have to be in bed by 8 o'clock so I can get a reasonable amount of sleep so that I can be awake the next morning at 3 a.m. to be up again at 4 a.m.
Right.
Um, and then vice versa. I would end up when I'm off, I have the whole rest of the day, so I would just kind of do nothing, clean the apartment, or then I just kind of sit there and play video games. I'd shower after work every day. It was always the moment I'm home from work, I shower, and then I just kind of figure out what I'm doing that day. Am I prepping food, or am I able to just kind of sit on my ass and play video games, or
Mhm.
if I have laundry to do. And I was doing a lot of the chore work because I was there throughout the entire day. And then I'd play video games, and then I'd get up, go and make food for dinner because she's not able to make dinner. So, or sometimes she'd pick up food, like just pick up Popeyes or
Mhm.
um, just whatever fast food and stuff. But it was mostly I'd made dinner. I got everything ready, and then after dinner, I eat my part, get hers ready to be warmed up later,
Mhm.
and then I just play video games and then go to bed, and then I
Mhm.
wake up and go to work the next morning.
Okay. So the schedule was something that was really, really difficult, and that was a big strain on it.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
if you were to average it out over, like, did you ever have an opportunity throughout the course of the week where you two could just spend a whole day together or do
Yes.
anything together?
Yes. It mostly happened on her days off because of me having the whole day off. I can flex my day around spending the whole day with her.
Hmm. I used to work, I used to open a CrossFit gym in addition to a whole bunch of other jobs that I used to have. So used to have to be there at 3:45 in the morning because finance CrossFit bros in New York City are absolutely fucking insane. So that early morning opening shift is truly a brutal one.
Yeah,
So
it's rough.
I definitely empathize with you on the early to bed, extremely early to rise, and having to deal with cranky people before coffee and breakfast early in the morning. And
Yeah, yeah,
um,
providing everybody the coffee.
right, well, especially working in the service industry like you do, that's a lot of energy expenditure with cranky assholes.
Yeah, everybody needs to have their coffee. Everybody needs to get their iced coffees and
Yep.
all their sandwiches before they can start their day.
Right. So I want to dive a little bit deeper. I just want to have a little bit more of an understanding. I want to dive a little bit deeper into what did the relationship look like before the marriage?
I mean, it was we were like best friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like we do everything together. We spend as much time as we could together. I I'd be able to spend time with my online friends and then spend time with her, and because I have a very large list of people online that I talk to and hang out with, and I like talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the problems was that I did that a lot, where I would just be on Discord all day with those online friends, and it was just like I spent a lot more time online talking with people than talking to her at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But we were still able to spend close time together, play video games together, just be able to be together. Like how I got she was with me when I got my tattoos, and we just all sorts of shit together.
Yeah.
And then it
So
just what?
what was her feedback and reasoning for which she was the one who left?
Yes.
So what did she tell you the reasons were?
Um, it was mostly just like neglect,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just the neglect that led into her just not wanting to talk to me as much anymore. And she had her own depression, and she was talking about how she was in her darkest, lowest place, and I wasn't helping her. And it's like it's really hard to help someone when you're just as depressed. And it was literally before she left, I had finally clicked and was getting back to myself and doing all the things she was wanting me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just all kind of snapped,
Mm-hmm.
and we it just she just we just she finally just decided she didn't want to be with me anymore, and it took me a couple of days to finally just be like, I don't want her. I need to immediately detach myself, and I can't hold on to this because there's no salvaging it. There's not going to be a second chance. There's not going to be a she'll like call back moment. It's just like I have to burn now, or else I'm going to suffer in the long run. Thank God I got through it then, because man, I don't know. I don't really know how much like I don't know how much more I'd be able to handle missing her right now.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Oh, I went through I went through a really deep depression for the first about almost month. Like the first 3-ish weeks. It was near the end of my time in the living in the apartment. I fell into a really deep depression. I was full of like anger and rage, and then it just went from anger and rage to just deep dark depression. Like if I like I learned through this last month how much of an emotional support net I actually have, and I have a larger net than I expected. Because
well, that's
great. I have a very supportive family that helped. My dad got me through all of this. Like he was like here on a dime. Like I need help. Dad, I need you to hang out with me for the day. On it. Like fucking we'll drink. We'll enjoy some drink some Twisted Tea and just watch war games on Max and hang out.
Nice.
I have some very close best friends, and we have a little group of friends. Our inner circle, they were there for me, and they were like, we got you, bro.
Yeah.
And but still, even with them, I went through that whole idea of like being afraid of the future, since you don't have a companion to go with that future with.
Yep.
It's now just a road, and it's like a road. I'm like, oh God, I wasn't ready to get back on this road, you know?
Yep. So,
and
this is something that I'm really interested in, because what you're saying in terms of your ability to actually ask people for help is something that a lot of men are not able to do, especially in those lowest moments of their lives. So I want to explore that for a second, because what did that feel like when you were in it? Was it difficult for you to ask for that help?
I wish I would say yes, but the reality was I knew I had a backup plan. I had a plan of the moment she had packed up some of her stuff and left, I laid on the floor and I was in tears when I realized I opened back up and I was like, I gotta call people. I have to get this done now, or else I'm going to suffer. I have to do this now. And so I immediately first caller. I call my sister, and my sister's like, I got your back. Like we got this. Come on, let's get through it. And then I was on call. I was up for 19 hours.
Wow.
5 of those hours I was at work.
Yeah.
And my manager let me go home to like fix things, and I was up until like 11 o'clock at night that day. It was it was opening to like almost midnight, and I was like, I finally crashed after calling. I was like in tears. I cried. I've like I can easily say I cried a lot, knowing
good.
I have people.
Good.
It was a lot of crying.
We're allowed to cry. God damn it.
Yeah.
We're allowed to cry. Fuck.
We are allowed to.
Yeah.
I just, and it's not even a masculinity thing. I just don't like the look of me crying in front of people.
Nobody does. Nobody does. None of us do. None of us do.
Enough.
We all look like fucking idiots when we cry. Just like we look like idiots when we laugh like crazy. Yeah. Laughing and crying are two sides of the exact same fucking coin, and we look stupid no matter what. And this is the whole gist of everything, is we're allowed to look fucking stupid. We're allowed to ask for help. We're allowed to, in our moments of the lowest of the low, our deepest depressions, our weakest, lowest, most vulnerable moments, we're allowed to look like idiots and reach out and ask for help. So I really do commend the shit out of you, Alex, for in that moment not turning yourself into your own fucking enemy, and, you know, taking all of that sadness and anger and rage and turning it back around on yourself, but actually saying, I'm not okay. I need help. Giving yourself the ability to have a healthy emotional release and crying about that, and also reaching out to people that are close to you, which, not all of us have a support system like that where we do know for sure that we can call someone and say, I am not okay, I need you, and they will show up and take care of you. You are very lucky that you have that. But what's important for anyone who's listening to this, especially any men who are listening to this, you are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to cry in front of people, and you are allowed to have human fucking emotions when terrible things happen to you. Breakups fucking suck. They're never easy. They're never good. Like it especially when you've been in a relationship for that long, you know, there's a certain point, and I can only speak from my own experience, where when you're in a relationship with someone for long enough, it becomes very difficult to imagine any future scenario that doesn't also involve that person. And then when you are presented with that scenario, and whether you can see it coming or it comes out of nowhere, it still hurts the same. The surprise scenario hurts a little bit more because, nobody likes that surprise. That happened to me once, where I was dating this woman who I was absolutely head over heels madly in love for. And I was away on a contract doing a show, and 11 days into that contract, after she had moved into my apartment, she called me and had moved all of her stuff out in secret and ended the relationship in a 10-minute phone call. And then we never spoke again. And I had this idea in my head of the life that I was going to go back to when this contract ended in New York City. And then all of that had just went poof and vanished in a 10-minute phone call.
Oh my
and
God.
At that time, I didn't have the support system that I have now. And I didn't have the ability to, I was resistant to asking the people that I needed for help. And I was trying to convince myself that everything was okay and that there was still a chance that I could get her back. Right. And I think that we didn't dive super duper deep into it, but I think that it's very commendable that you were so realistic with yourself of, I have to put the work in to move on now. What is your mental state like on a daily basis right now?
It flip-flops really hard. It goes from it'll go from I'll wake up and I'm just groggy and meh, and then I'll just go through my day being like positive, but I have a resting bitch face, so I just kind of like look like I'm annoyed. And some of my coworkers have looked at me and be like, "Are you okay, dude? You look like pissed off." I'm like, "No, I'm actually in a good mood right now."
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, like just that throughout most of my day. And then there's some days I'll wake up I'll be angry. Angry. Like, I mean, I want to punch a hole through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like white knuckle, like punch a wall. I'm that kind of angry. And I have to like, and my coworkers all know what happened. They all know like they know everything. They're my second family.
Mm-hmm.
Especially some of them. I've hung out with some of them outside of work.
Right.
And we're planning a fucking trip to Six Flags in a few months.
That's great. One unsolicited piece of advice: don't fuck your coworkers.
We were coworkers.
I know. Learn that lesson once.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
let's talk about the anger for a minute, because when you do get into those angry states, like what do you do to calm yourself down when you get into those angry states, and how often do you find yourself in that rage state?
The angry states were a lot more common at the beginning.
Okay.
But now that it has been several months since everything's happened, I am now able to just be comfortably able to just calm down and not have to sit there and wallow in anger, because that just makes me unfun. Angry anybody in most cases is just not a fun person to talk to on a Discord call.
Mm-hmm. And have you what has your relationship with your anger and your rage been like throughout the course of your life?
Inconsistent.
Okay, explain.
I was I was a small victim of child abuse here and there between different people, and it was all physical abuse. And I had to be able to fight back, and I don't like fighting. It's one of the reasons why I've been a huge pacifist for a very long time. I find the idea of fighting somebody absolutely fucking disgusting, and
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I never want to fight if I can, but I know for a fact I can hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have the anger to hurt people, and I don't want to hurt people. That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how I view myself.
Right. Do you know the comedian Moshe Kasher?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not familiar.
You
With
should
that.
look him up. Everybody should look up Moshe Kasher. He's hilarious. He does a bit about he was in Philly or Australia, I don't remember what, but he was doing a bit about how he's Jewish, his brother's a rabbi, and there was this douchebag in the audience who was heckling him and being anti-Semitic and shitty and everything. And afterward, they ended up getting into a fight after the show, like outside of the comedy club. And he sums it up perfectly because he was like, when you're an adult and you get into a fight, even if you win the fight, you fucking lost. You're an adult and you got into a fight. And, you know, growing up, I was bullied all the time. My father, I'm an anomaly in my family where I'm 6 feet tall and 300 pounds. My mom is like 5'4", 140 pounds. My dad was like 5'6", 100 pounds, just a little twig dude. And I'm this. And my dad never lost a fight in his whole life. He was
Oh my God, yeah.
angry little Jew from the Bronx. And he was like, when you're small, all the big people pick on you because they think they can beat you up. And what they didn't know is I was feistier. And he always told me, because I was bullied constantly when I was a kid, and because of my size, I never fought back because I knew what I had the power and strength to be able to do. And he always told me, he's like, if you want to end it, just kick the shit out of him one time and it will end forever. And I never listened to his advice, and I wish that I had. But now that I'm an adult, and I understand the size privilege that I have, and that, you know, I can use my size for good, right? When I see people being dicks to other people, I can just walk over and be like, "What are you doing? Stop! I'm gonna whack you with my stomach. This isn't gonna end well for you." But also, you know, it's 2024. We're large men. We can be perceived as intimidating, and it is really important that we're able to control our emotions and not allow our anger or our rage to take over and to act in a way that's not the way that we want to represent ourselves or be, right? So it's super important that we're able to have that ability to like calm our nervous system when we get really angry. And like, I'm a person with anger and rage issues. I'm angry all the time. Like, not let alone not even when crazy family, you know, crazy like relationship, family, whatever events happen that are fucking terrible and kind of tear your whole life apart, right? Like after my dad died in September, just grief is a hell of a drug. And, you know, it was just this like constant stream of terrible that was happening. And I had to go back to boxing 5 days a week because I had to have somewhere to channel that anger and that rage. Seeing what you've been through in the last couple of months and kind of where you are now, what does your inner voice sound like every day? Like when you talk to yourself, what are the things that you're saying to yourself? What is it like to be alone with your thoughts right now?
Well, they range. Sometimes there's a really important thing I want to do, like send a text message to a person that I'm really into.
Mm-hmm.
My little inner voice will say, send the text.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never know what the response will be unless you fucking send the text.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just 1,000 thoughts all at once about just everything that's happened in the last 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes I'm just deep in my sorrow and I'm depressed and I'm angry. I tell my dad about it, and he's just like, he's telling me stupid jokes, and we're just laughing, and he's trying to distract me from the thoughts by just wordplay and just say dumb stuff until I get a response of why are you saying that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just wordplay to distract me
Mm-hmm.
from the real stress that I'm going through, because
Mm-hmm.
it's been a while. It's been a little while, but there were times when I would spiral mid just anything.
Right.
I would stand there and it just nosedive into a wave of just hatred and all sorts of just not good shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I would almost have the feeling of wanting to text them, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no. And then the voice would come back, no,
Yep.
don't do it.
Yep.
And I would
Smart.
put the phone down, and I put the phone face down, slide it away,
Yep.
and then
So
I just get back to my computer and be like, play things you like.
in the time when I want to talk about in the time when you're not able to distract yourself, though, because that's the secret sauce. Because distractions are great until they stop working, or we don't have the ability to be distracted. So
Right.
for the thing that changed everything for me. So after that breakup with that girl, when it ended in a 10-minute phone conversation, what I learned from that situation, in realizing I burned my whole life down as a result of that. And I absolutely spiraled out of control. I went completely off the fucking wall. And I realized in that process that the reason why all of my relationships were dysfunctional, my romantic, my professional, my friendships, every single one, were as dysfunctional as they were, was because of how fucked my relationship with myself was. And that I was genuinely terrified of being alone. Not in the like, oh, when I'm 75, I don't want to be alone. No, as in, it's a Tuesday afternoon at 3:26 p.m. and I can't be alone with my own thoughts for 5 seconds.
Yeah, fair enough.
Distraction stopped working then. It was as if my whole mind and body would get hijacked. I essentially had a perpetual argument happening in my head with this ex for 4 years.
Thoughts like that, I have had something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more so. It's always this is when I want to shout at that person that's in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I want to shout at them. That's when I want to say to them so badly. And it all just kind of, it literally just, it's a loop. I loop myself with wanting to say these things in a perfect world where they're not going to fire back with a quip, or they're going to tell me, no, you're wrong about this scenario.
Right.
Just being able to just scream and shout it. And what happens is I zone out. I zone out hard. I just end up just kind of standing there for way too long, a little too long, that it's like I have this perpetual just yelling at someone, and I just kind of have to like I do the count to five method, the 5 things you can see, 4 things you can yeah, I did that.
Okay.
A very good friend of mine told me to try that method.
Great.
And I would have, and what would eventually happen is my brain just interjects with, why am I listing this random thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I would start thinking about that one thing and hyperfixating on it for a way too long period of time, and I'm no longer angry. I'm just more distracted and confused by the end of it.
So talk to me about your current confidence level.
My confidence comes and goes.
Okay.
Sometimes I have the ability to talk to any female I want and have the confidence that I talked to them and they had a good time talking to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna just bring this up. Don't call women females; they're women.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I'm just, this is unsolicited.
Women,
well, you're
yeah.
here for unsolicited advice.
Yeah, of course. That's my bad. That's just like thoughts.
You're good. That's one of those things that, like, it, because one thing that we want to be really careful about is we want to make sure that we're projecting who we are, and there are little things in language, especially, that when we hear when women hear them, they're automatically like,
right. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's
But I
yeah,
understand.
I gotcha.
I get where you're coming from. Just like, just
I can talk to my coworkers, and I can talk to people and know that they are enriched by talking to me, and I wasn't a waste of time to them.
okay. All right, that's good. And what are the things that give you confidence? What are the things that boost your confidence? What are the things that take your confidence away?
When confidence boosters are when I get to work and I know for a fact that I have the golden crew,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a perfect crew, and I'm like, I've got the confidence that this is going to literally be like perfect setup to get everything done. I'm and have a perfect 4-1.
Okay.
That's
But that's not what I'm asking. What are the things that make you feel confident in yourself? And
things that.
what are the, like outside of your work life? I'm
Mhm.
talking about like your inside of your body, inside of your mind. What are the things that make you feel like fuck yeah, I'm fucking Superman?
Um, knowing it's just the thought of knowing people, the compliments I get from people. Like it's knowing
Mm-hmm.
that it's knowing the thought that like I know I'm not just this horrendous monster to people. I'm not a it's just that kind of thought that I'm not that just this unlikable being. I know it's like people like me, people love me, and
Mm-hmm.
I can move on with my day knowing that people like me. At least the very not like all love me, but people like me. That I don't have animosity towards me.
So what do
Like
people like about you?
um um just my ability, just like me telling stories about random crap that happens to me, because it's like I've gone on record many times saying my life is boring, but I've also done this, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely out of pocket. There's no way anyone else I can repeat that. Like no one can repeat what I did. It's like, oh, I jumped into like a 3-foot pool from 15 feet in the air. I don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
um I spent a week with a cult, but my life is boring.
Oh my
uh that's real. That happened. I was I wasn't part of it. It's close family were part of something I wasn't a part of, and
God. Oh wow.
I was like, ugh. No, my dad and I were like, be on your best behavior. I got to get out of here.
Oh my goodness.
But
That's
no, it's just people. My ability to tell stories. The fact that I don't berate people. I don't talk negative. I tell
mm-hmm.
people cheer up. Like I'll just be like, hey, not hopefully not all of today is bad.
Right.
I it's just I have it just at least I like to think of generally good vibe to just be able to talk to people casually with no thought that they're gonna think I'm a like a weird like I'm a weirdo or anything.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you make people feel safe around you?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had to prove like being a manager a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, all of my coworkers have a good time and feel safe when they're working with me.
That's good. And let's talk about your body image, and like, is that something that you have struggled with throughout your life? What would you? Yeah, let's just go with that. Like, is body image something that you've struggled with throughout your life?
I don't think body image has ever been a problem for me. I
Okay,
have never
lucky you.
yeah. Well, I think the reality is that like I know what I look like. So depending on what scenario I'm in, like I am perfectly fine going shirtless to a public pool.
Great, yay,
There is
fuck yeah.
no the only reason I wear a shirt that day is just because I feel like it. There's no feeling of it's never been a thing. I've never been like, oh, I'm big and I don't want people to see my bigness. I'm like, no, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not big enough that I am not as big as I think I am. Like I'm not I'm not huge. I don't have like problems of being like completely just unable to walk and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm in better shape than I should be.
Okay.
But I've never had a thought. It's lower body below. I've never had a thought of like anything negative. It's just I'm fine shirtless. It's all in my face.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen myself as attractive.
Okay.
I've never like I've never seen myself as like this is the like a thought like someone instantly is like I want to talk to you.
Why? And is there a way that you think that you could change that? And what would that look like?
The big one for me is it's past relationships. I think that like past relationships have just kind of made me feel like I that I only attract certain types of women that in reality I only want to be with for a few months and then it just kind of flings off.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't want that. I don't want it to just always be like a 9 month fling and then it's over with.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of just the state of the world that we're in today too. Is it is, it's very difficult. Like, especially you're in Missouri, I'm in New York City. Like, it's the same thing in New York, except for it's not a 9 month timeline. It's like a 9 week timeline, if not even less than that. Right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I also, I don't think there's anything wrong in letting, a relation or situationship like that run its course quickly, because then no one's wasted their time. Right. The more honest we can be about the situation that we're in, it's like the more honest we can be about the situation that we're in and where we're coming from, the kind of quicker everything can get wrapped up or move forward. That's why I think leading with authenticity and being really honest about what you want, what you're looking for, where you're coming from is really important. And the to just circle back a little bit. So what you're telling me is that the validation you get about whether or not you feel attractive comes from other people, not yourself.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so what can we do to give you more tools to make yourself feel like you are attractive? How can we build that up for you? What would it take in your mind to help you make you feel like you're attractive? That like you are a hot fat Alex, the hot fat guy.
I literally think it's just something as simple as a female wants to come up, a woman, sorry, a woman wants to come up and talk to me.
Okay.
That a woman wants to, that someone else wants to initiate the conversation instead of it just always being me initiating it.
I would be a hypocrite if I said that external validation like that was not something that's really important to me. It is. There is nothing I love more than the chase, right? And the, that like verification that like, yes, in fact, you're hot, you're desirable. But in order for, let's call that step 2, in order for step 2 to happen, we have to affirm step 1 to ourselves to even put ourselves in that position where we feel attractive enough, where we feel confident enough, where we feel fearless and bold enough to put ourselves in the situation where we feel like we can talk to anyone. Because to be honest, it's not your face or your traps or your abs or your ass that will attract someone to talking to you. It's your vibe and your energy that you cast off. That is the thing that will make people come to you. And the more secure you are with yourself, the more secure you are in what you bring to the table, the more secure you are in who you are, and the things that you know make you unique and attractive are the things that are going to make you magnetic, make your personality magnetic. Like, you're a very nice guy, you're sweet, you speak well, you have good stories, and it seems like you're a really like genuine, caring person. I've known you for 45 minutes and 56 seconds, so I don't know that for sure, but that's the vibe I'm getting from you. And you've been willing to talk about some really deep shit with essentially a person who is a stranger on the internet, and things that have been really terrible that have happened to you. And I think that the fact that you are being that honest and truthful and leading with that authenticity and vulnerability is something that's really interesting. And, granted, we don't want to fuck each other, but what can we do to, when you're in a position where there is someone that you're attracted to, there is someone that you have a crush on, there is someone that you want to take out on a date, or there is someone that in the future you want to be in a relationship with, or any of those other things, like, how can we what are the tools that we can give you to solidify that relationship with yourself where you are oozing effortless confidence and people will be magnetized, come to you. And I say all of that with the caveat of some of us do have to be the ones that are always reaching our hand out first. One of my best friends in the world looks like Jewish Justin Timberlake. And very attractive guy, dresses very well. When they used to live in San Francisco, and despite all of the money in San Francisco, there's a lot of tech bros who never outgrew their mothers buying all of their clothes, and they don't dress particularly well. So when my friend and I would go out in San Francisco, we loved suits, and we would always go out in 3-piece suits, just looking like $1 million. They were one of the biggest catalysts of me becoming the outgoing monster that I am when I go out now. Because there was one time we were hanging out at a bar in San Francisco with a bunch of ballet dancers from San Francisco Ballet, and there was this one dancer, and we're at the bar, and I'm having a conversation, and there's another person on the other to my right. And my friend reaches over my conversation and sticks his hand out and goes, "Hey, I'm Chad." Yeah. Like utterly fucking fearless, right? It was truly unbelievable. And I remember being there just like, oh, what? I could never. But when you do that, and it really is that simple. It's like you open the door. "Hi, I'm Alex." If they're not interested, they're not interested. Move on. But you took the fucking risk. Where the real secret sauce is, is in the very beginning of every interaction. And this is not just in I want to go on a date with you, I want to hook up with you, I want to do whatever with you situation. This is in every situation. It is whether or not you are willing to put yourself out there and take the risk to be seen by another person. And then you have done everything that you need to do then. It is up to them whether or not they want to continue. And if they don't, that's fine. You just say, okay, and you move on. That's it. Mm-hmm. But and I would imagine this isn't something that is particularly common where you're at in Missouri, where people are, willing to take that first step and take the risk. Right? And be respectful in taking the risk. Like one of my favorite things to do when I go out is, especially in New York City, you got a lot of like bro-y bros, right? Bro-y finance bros, in their vests, and their brown leather shoes with their navy pants and white shirt, all dressed exactly the same, right? And it's always funny when you see the former frat guy. We all know the type. The former frat guy peacocking to a woman at the bar and just acting like a total idiot, being very presumptuous and misogynistic and disrespectful. And there was an example. I was at a rave last summer at the Brooklyn Mirage, and I always end up shirtless like immediately when I end up at these venues. And a bunch of these dude bro types came up to me and they were like, "Bro, we love the confidence, bro." Which is a veiled insult of like, "Oh my God, look at this fat fuck. Look at him. He's so cute. Look at him with his belly and his tits. Oh, bless you." Like, no, man, fuck you. I am the whole vibe at this fucking party. You wish you had my confidence. You seeing me like this makes you insecure. Go fuck yourself. And it's one of my favorite things in social settings like that, where you see them go up and they do the whole like, yo thing to a person in a bar. And then I go after they get rejected and talk to that same person, but make fun of them and how they just tried to approach that person. And you watch their eyes practically bulge out of their fucking skulls where they're like, "This fucking guy? She's talking to that fucking fat fuck?" I'm like, yeah, because 1, I'm better looking than you. 2, I'm better looking than you. 3, I'm safer than you. I don't give off the "I'm going to drug your drink." And 4, I'm funnier than you. like we, it all really comes down to if I were to say it with three things: taking the risk, being able to handle the rejection with nothing but grace, and the ability to move on and try again. Because at the end of the day, it's not a reflection of you. It's not. It is a reflection of you if you're an asshole, right? But if you say something as simple as, "Hi, I'm Alex," that other person has the opportunity to make a snap judgment of whether they want to continue the conversation or they don't. And there are a trillion different circumstances as to why they would or they wouldn't. Most of them have nothing to do with you. Sit with that for a second. What does that make you feel?
I mean, it definitely. I could easily say that definitely helps a lot more. That like people don't see me as just like it's just that what people think about me is not what they actually think about me. It's just it's an all in my head sort of scenario.
Yes.
Then I just gotta push forward through the thoughts.
I want to wrap up with giving you some, some of the things that I did that helped me. And I think that these will be easy for you because shut up, Beanie. My fucking cat. I think that these will be easy for you because you seem like a very outgoing guy. And also you work with like a service facing job. So you talk to people all the time.
Yep.
But I want you to talk to at least 10 strangers a day.
Okay.
Between now and the next time we speak. All right. And we'll put something on the calendar. But between now and the next time we speak, I want you to keep, even if it's just in the notes app in your phone, a little journal of just like every day, summarize a couple of the interactions that you have with strangers every day. Because in my opinion, the number one way to bulletproof confidence is being able to talk to anyone about anything. And here's the trick question for you, Alex. What is the one thing that people love to talk about more than anything in the world?
Wasn't it talk about safety?
Themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Themselves.
You want to be charming? Ask questions. Right? Now, the safest point of entry to this, and if you haven't downloaded the Hot Fat Guy Club Confidence Guide already, you should. It's free on the website. Not to shamelessly plug myself, but it's free. It's good. I wrote it.
Yeah.
People with dogs and old people. All right? The fact of the matter is, in a world of 8 billion people, and I live in New York City, a city of 9 million, right? We are all desperately lonely. No matter how many people we have around us, no matter how many people we might live with, if we have a partner, if we have children, if we have animals, no matter how many people we work with, what our jobs are, it is inevitable that we are going to feel lonely sometime. And we are all desperate for human interaction, and we are all desperate to connect with people. If you can cultivate being the type of person that makes people feel good about themselves, asks them questions, gives them the opportunity to tell their story, and genuinely listens, and, makes them feel heard, and, you reach across the aisle, say, "Hey, I'm Alex," and give them the opportunity to grab your hand and say, "Hey, I'm Tom." That's something that people are going to remember, even if you only talk to them once and you never ever speak to them ever again.
Right.
The ability to start conversations. That's the first step. Starting a conversation with a stranger, even if it is a 10-second interaction of like, "Oh my God, your dog is so cute." Right? Or, "Oh my God, you're 1,000 years old and you can still walk on your own two legs." Like, that's kind of mean, but you know what I mean? Talk to strangers. Talk to strangers. And there's a great Eckhart Tolle quote of "Abundance only comes to those who have it. Everything that you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from the world." Mm-hmm. And so the more you can do to make people around you feel good, feel seen, feel wanted, the more that will come back to you. Okay?
Right.
All right. We're going to figure out a time to talk in about a month. All right?
Yep.
Thank you for being here, Alex. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for listening. And I'm sorry everything that has happened to you has happened to you, but you're going to be okay, man.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate your
Yeah.
vulnerability. I appreciate your honesty. You, sir, are indeed a hot fat guy.